Hello, welcome to my studio. This is your instructor Linda, and in this video I'm going to be describing the three different categories of your primary quilling tool, the quilling needles. Just like we can describe people using their age, height, and weight, we can describe quilling needles by using the three categories of tip style, handle style, and needle grip style. But before I get into detail about those three different categories, I'd like to describe the function of the needle. If we know what the function of the needle is, then we can get a better understanding of the different ways that it can accomplish its tasks. So what is the function of the quilling needle? Well, it's to make quilling elements, such as this one. This quilling element happens to be a closed loose coil. So quilling elements are made by wrapping pieces of paper around a post of some sort. That is actually referred to as husking. So from this moment on, I'm going to use the proper term husking to describe what we're doing when we are wrapping paper around a post. So in ancient days, people achieved husking using bones or quills, which is incidentally where the term quilling comes from. In modern day, of course, we seldom use bones or quills. We tend to use quilling needles, and the needles tend to be made out of stainless steel or otherwise some sort of other hard metal. Now, if we wrap the paper around the post, there's actually two different ways that we can wrap the paper, and that gets us into the first category, which is the tip style. The tip style of a quilling needle is divided into two major types, which is the straight, which are these two here, and the slotted, which are all of these here. In the straight style, the quilling needle is generally just a straight post, right? No slot. And the quilling is done by wrapping the paper around the post, and it's the paper that actually turns and rotates to stay on the post. Now let's see if I can do this. There we go. So you can see in this one the needle is static, and I am turning the paper to wrap it around the post. Now, I very seldom use straight style needles because I'm abysmally bad at it, unfortunately. Other than using it to show my students and to show people the theory of how it's done, I don't actually use it myself to quill. So here is your tight quill. I did a very bad job using the straight quilling needle. Now, the straight quilling needle is a lot harder to use in my opinion. However, it is very easy to get. In fact, one of my students taught a quilling class in her kindergarten class. And because she didn't have quilling needles, they used toothpicks. Works, yes. So the other type of quilling needle is the slotted quilling needle. That's the one that most people commonly use, I think. And in the slotted quilling needle, the needle itself has two prongs on it, with the prongs being divided by a slot in the middle. So in the slotted quilling needle, you slide the paper in between the two prongs or the slot, and when you rotate your paper, it's the prongs that actually hold onto the paper, like so. There we go. So now we know the two different tip styles, which are the straight and the slotted. I'm going to now describe the two different grip styles, which are the fixed and the interchangeable. So these needles here, this one here, which is the straight, and this one here, which is the slotted, these two are fixed needles, meaning that the needle and the shaft or the body of the needle is all one piece. You can't separate or remove them. This is probably the easiest one to find if you're quilling, and the one that most people commonly use. What is the advantage of a static needle? Well, a static needle is easy to find and is generally less expensive. What is the disadvantage of the slotted needle? Well, in the slotted needle, if you happen to break or damage any part of the needle, which is usually the tip of your needle, then the entire needle is tossed in the garbage. No way to fix it at all. If you use the interchangeable style, then the needle can be removed from its shaft or housing, and the tip can be changed. Now, if you want to learn how to change the tip of your quilling needle, I do have a different video on how to change the quilling needle tips. So be sure to watch that one, as I won't be going over it in this video. So the other type of category that we can use to describe our quilling needle is the quilling handle style, which is divided into static, which are the ones on this side here, and the swivel, which are the ones on my right-hand side here. Now, what is the difference between the static and the swivel? In the static style needles, the handle or the shaft of your needle is all one piece, and nothing moves relative to each other. So you achieve the rotation or the husking of your paper by rotating the entire instrument. The way I generally achieve this is by cradling the base of the needle either in my pinky finger or my palm in order to keep it steady. And then using my thumb and my forefinger, I rotate the needle like so. So if you take a look here, you can see the entire needle is rotating. I am holding the base of the needle here by cradling it and allowing free rotation or motion, like so. Okay? So in the swivel style, you have a part of the instrument which rotates independently of the other. So swivel styles can usually be divided into the swivel base, which is like this one, where the base of the needle is the one that turns and the entire top part of the needle here stays stationary. Now, there are some swivel needles, which are swivel heads, where the base of the needle stays stationary and this piece here at the top, attached to the needle, then turns. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those needles here to show you, and they are actually pretty hard to get, actually. There are a few places that do this swivel head styles, but they're few and far between, and sometimes it's near impossible to get. So if you take a look at these two swivel base needles, the ball handle and the straight, you'll notice that this one looks very different from what you would envision as a standard quilling needle. It has a big ball at the end of it. Now, why would you want to use a swivel needle over a static needle? Well, a lot of the times it just depends on preference. Someone who has started quilling or learned quilling on a swivel needle will tend to prefer a swivel needle, and someone who learned on a static needle will tend to prefer on a static needle. However, if you have both and you try both, there are certainly advantages to both of them. One of the primary advantages of the swivel handle versus the static handle is you require a lot less control over how you grip your needle. In the static needle, if you hold too tight or too loose, you may not be able to turn your needle or you may drop your needle. In the swivel type, especially if you have mobility issues in your wrist and the bottom part of your hand, for example, the movement that is required in a swivel type is actually only on the tip of your fingers. You don't require any motion on the bottom part of your hand or your wrist. So let me demonstrate what I mean by that. So how do you hold this ball-handled swivel needle? Well, if you describe it similar to the way that you hold a butter knife, say if you're using a butter knife to pry open the lid of a paint can, for example, you would hold your knife pretty much like this, right? That's how you would use the knife. In the swivel base, in the ball base, you would hold it exactly like you would with the knife, and then your top two fingers, which is your thumb and your forefinger, would grip the needle in order to turn it. Now, in this particular style of needle, you'll notice that there is this little piece here which has some bumps on it, which is used for grip. When you're turning this particular model of swivel needle, you want to make sure that you're grasping this little piece in order to rotate the needle, and not here where the head is. This little head is actually a cap which can come off in order to change your needle. Now, if you're holding this part of the needle when you are rotating, then you could loosen up this cap and have your needle rotate or fall out. If you are an overhanded quiller, meaning that you rotate your needle clockwise, holding here probably won't be a big problem. If you are an underhand quiller, meaning that you turn counterclockwise in order to turn the needle, you're probably going to loosen this cap, because turning counterclockwise will have this cap come off. So when you're using this needle, always make sure to rotate the needle shaft by using this little piece here. So getting back to the grip, you will grip it exactly like you would a butter knife when you're prying off the paint can, and you're holding with your thumb and forefinger on this piece here. So if we hold it like that, then you can rotate your needle like such. Either clockwise, counterclockwise, overhand, underhand, works both ways. So if I was to turn my grip so that you can see it, you can see I have the ball base here cradled in the palm of my hands with these three fingers grasping. Now, where this ball is grasped in your hand will be something that you'll have to kind of discover for yourself. Depending on the size of your hand and what is comfortable for you, the position of this grip may be a little bit different. In my case, the grip of this needle is kind of about right here, higher up on my palm. Right? Like this, and rotate. Can you see? I don't require any movement in the bottom part of my hand or my wrist. The only thing that I need to do is basically hold the ball so that it doesn't fall out. So turn and turn. All right. Okay, so before I go, let me summarize the three different categories of the primary quilling instrument, the quilling needle. So there are two different tip styles, the straight and the slotted, two different handle styles, which are the static and the swivel, and two different needle grip styles, which are fixed and interchangeable. When you're using your needle, you probably will develop a preference for one type of needle or the other, but hopefully this video will help you determine which one that may be suitable for you, and if you're having trouble with the current needle that you're using, what alternatives there are out there. So thank you for listening if you've made it to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next. Bye-bye.